Donkey Kong Country 3 might have just changed everything. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, allow me to explain. But first, remember to like and subscribe. We're on our way to 8,000 subs, and I would love to have you join the community, as well as the Discord, pinned comment in the comments. Now, saying that DKC3 might have just changed everything is a bonkers and wild thing to say, especially almost 30 years after the game has been out, right? The game's been out for 29 years at this point, going on 30. And so what do I mean? Well, allow me to kind of backtrack a little bit, because this relates to Bonanza very, very much so. Donkey Kong Bonanza, by all accounts, is a masterclass in game design. It's a masterpiece. I think it is. A lot of people think that this is just one of, if not the best, Donkey Kong experiences we've ever gotten when it comes to TV, film, especially in gaming. Bonanza has it all. But one complaint that some people had, I did not have a problem with this at all, but some people just felt and feel like the game is just a little bit too detached from the rest of the Donkey Kong, quote, canon, if you could call it that. And, you know, the lack of returning characters, lack of returning locations, especially in the world design. A lot of these new species and new races and new locations, I loved it because it expanded the world, but a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't Crocodile Isle, right? It wasn't Donkey Kong Island. And so you had people kind of upset that it wasn't, you know, the same that we've had, but I like it because it's different. And one of the epitomes of that, one of the biggest examples of something new being added to this game that really no one knew about, was the Fractones. We don't really know what they are. We don't really know where they came from or why they're here. We just know that they live underground. They live in these underground worlds, and that's that. You can break them. They sell you golden Bonandium gems. They help you out on your journey. They're just these nice rock dudes, and that's that, right? That is what the Fractones are. Well, I woke up this morning at like 7:30, which is pretty normal, and I had a ping in my Discord from my good friend Silver. If you're not in the Discord, again, join it. Super easy, super fun. Join it. And he said, Justin, this is huge. If it's true, I don't know if it's true though. I need someone to fact check it. And I'm like, okay, I'll fact check it. What is it? What are we looking at here? And he sent me this post on Twitter. I'll put it on the screen. And it was someone on Reddit, actually. So the original post was on Reddit in the Donkey Kong subreddit. He was playing through Donkey Kong Country 3 on Conveyor Rope Clash, a sort of difficult level and kind of forgettable in my opinion. I forgot this level even existed, but Donkey Kong Country 3 is so underrated, so just ignore that. He's playing the game, right? And in the background, when you load up this level, it's in the final world of the game, but right before the boss fight, Conveyor Rope Clash, right when you load in, right when you spawn in at the very, very, very beginning of the level, you see a little rock figure in the background. They don't open their eyes, but they do have two eyes. There is a little rock creature right behind you that has two eyes, and they look, from the eye shape to the way that the figure itself is shaped, it looks exactly like a Fractone. And now I hope you're starting to see why I said Donkey Kong 3 might have just changed everything. Because before, I've probably seen that before. I'm sure millions and millions of people have, right? We've seen them. We've all played, we've all loved, hopefully, Donkey Kong Country 3. So we've admired the backgrounds, we've admired the graphics and stuff. So we've probably seen them before, but we had never played it through the lens of someone who had also played Donkey Kong Bonanza. So we couldn't relate them to the Fractones because we didn't know the Fractones. And now that we do, have they always been here? I'm tempted to make this a lore video, or I don't really know how I'm going to label this, but this is mind-boggling. When he sent me that post, I could not believe it. I immediately hopped on my Switch and I went to Conveyor Rope Clash, and sure enough, the moment you load in, the moment that the level loads up, there he is, one of the Fractones. Now, what does this mean for everything? What does this mean for potentially the timeline? What does this mean for the fractones made it to the surface, right? Is that what this means? Because obviously DKC3 takes place before Bonanza by quite a while, I'm guessing. And so are there some of them that are on the surface, but the rest of them are underground? I don't know. I'm not going to go into all of that, maybe in a future video, but this is huge. I got giddy like a nerd, like an idiot, because I was like, there's no way. Like, this is way too cool to be true. But sure enough, it was absolutely true. I went through the entire level. I played the entirety of Conveyor Rope Clash, and there are a lot of fractones. I'm going to call them fractones because by all accounts, that's what they are. If you look at the design of some of the gray fractones in Bonanza, and you look at the ones that are present in DKC3, they look very similar. They don't look exact, but a lot of the fractones, most of the fractones, have a very different design than, you know, other fractones. They're all very distinct. They're kind of like snowflakes. What's the rule? No two snowflakes look the same. You could use that same logic with the fractones. I couldn't believe it when I saw it, because Donkey Kong Country 3 is it's a fantastic game. And I know in the past I've been a little bit hard on it. I've never said I didn't like it. I have never ever said that I didn't like DKC3, because that wouldn't be true. I do really love Donkey Kong Country 3, but out of the original 3, it is definitely my least favorite. That doesn't mean that I think it's bad. I think it is easily a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. I just have some small issues with it, Kitty Kong, but this just, it's weird because it honestly makes me like this game a little bit more. It just feels like DKC3 is so forgotten a lot of the time, and it's semi-ignored, and it's kind of just pushed to the back, right? We have plenty of callbacks to DKC1 and especially DKC2, but when it comes to callbacks in DKC3, they're just kind of lacking, and I get it because that was definitely a divisive game, but this just makes me feel like DKC3 had so much more levity, so much more gravity, it had so much more to say than we originally gave it credit for, and I think this might be just the tip of the iceberg, because who knows what else we're going to discover playing through that original trilogy of games, playing through Returns HD, playing through Tropical Freeze, through the lens of someone who has now played and beaten Bonanza. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this? I think this is awesome, and it definitely, I think, gets us one step closer to finally figuring out and understanding what the fractones are and where they come from. I think this is great, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and take care.